Welcome back. In our summary tonight, the Forestry Commission is implementing measures to stop the exploitation of forest resources, plus Facebook to face fresh antitrust investigations. Details next.
The Forestry Commission of Ghana is implementing enough measures to protect the country's forest resources, especially the illegal felling and exploitation of rosewood. According to Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, Kojo Owusu-Ofrie, reports of institutionalized trafficking and export of rosewood are grossly exaggerated and are without basis. The Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SSNIT, has paid over 1.7 billion Ghana cedis to more than 200,000 pensioners on the pension payroll as at July 2019. It has also reduced its average benefits processing time from 21 days in 2018 to 17 days and registered 106% of its targets, leading to a sharp increase in the number of establishments contributions from 67,000 to over 68,000. The Central Management of Ghana's first large-scale mall, Accra Mall, has announced the commencement of work to replace the entire ceiling of the mall. The project, which has been approved by the Board of Accra Mall Limited, will start on Friday, September 6 and be completed by March 2020. Facebook is under investigation in the US to determine whether it has stifled competition and put users at risk. The new action was announced by New York State Attorney General Letitia James on behalf of a coalition of representatives from several states. British Airways and its pilots have been urged by Number 10 to sort out the dispute, which will see pilots work out next week in the row over pay. BA pilots are due to strike on Monday and Tuesday over a pay offer. Pilots union BALPA says it's low. The U.S. economy added 130,000 jobs last month, slowing more than expected. Economists polled by Reuters had expected an increase of 158,000. In July, the economy had created 159,000 new jobs.
In our first story tonight, government is being urged to lead the cashless economy agenda by investing in education of the youth to become more tech-savvy. According to Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Dream Oval, Charles Kolo, shaping the minds of upcoming youth is the best way to ensure more people get to understand and adopt digital payment systems. He was speaking on day 2 of the MOBEX Africa Tech Expo and Innovation Awards. Here's more in this report.
According to a UNDP report, Africa has the youngest population in the world. The population of Africa's youth is estimated to more than double by 2025. According to Charles Kolo, who is the Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Dream Oval, this can serve as a great channel for promoting digitization on the continent.
From a government perspective and from an education perspective, we teach these kids from the younger age to appreciate cashlight, appreciate technology and digital currencies and this type of solutions. Then in 50 years old, that will be an easy path to the cashlight or cashless society, because 50% of the society will be understanding these solutions. This is the way for me you can get to a cashless society, cashlight society, by investing in education and making sure that the kids today are sensitive about technology. This is absolutely important for the growth of our country in Ghana and for the growth of the continent in Africa.
The Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Dream Oval was speaking on the sidelines of Day 2 of the MOBEX Africa Tech Expo and Innovation Awards 2019, which was under the theme E-Finance, Future of Payments and Banking. Touching on the theme, security analyst at EcoBank eProcess, Kafu Adabunu, urged government to implement policies necessary for ensuring safety and streamlining activities within the digital financial space.
In the space, I think government is coming up with a recent Bank of Ghana Cyber Directive, which is now the banks are beginning to take these things more seriously. They are beginning to wake up and say that, okay, we need to do A, B, C, D. So once these policies are in place and they are fully implemented, then people will have no option. They will have no option. The bank, I can't do A, B, C, D if A, B, C, D is not in place. So the policies will have to be there. We've started, but we need to be able to cover all the areas, regulations for the telcos, even in implementation of these mobile money and all these other things, the mobile financial services.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
Now, lawyers for the Bank of Ghana have been given a 3-day ultimatum to file a response to the plea by GN Savings and Loans for an Accra Commercial Court to put on hold a liquidation process for the Savings and Loans Company. The court, presided over by Justice Kumsin, issued the ultimatum after lawyers for the Bank of Ghana indicated they were served under a short notice. Ebenezer Sabote was in court and files the following report.
Lawyer for the Bank of Ghana, Emmanuel Dakwa, told the commercial court that they only received the writ of summons 2 days to the hearing day and therefore asking for more time to file an affidavit of opposition to the claims by GN Group's lawyer. The judge, upon hearing the arguments from both sides, adjourned the case after lawyer Dakwa indicated that the upcoming bar conference will not permit them to work on the documents. Counsel for Dr. Papakwesi Indum, Justice Shrimsai, is confident that the court will give a fair hearing since this is an interlocutory case that needs to be settled before the main matter.
You should take into consideration relevant factors and not irrelevant factors. Relevant factors in determining whether someone is solvent or insolvent has to do with the person's assets and liabilities. So you need to actually consider the totality of the person's assets and the totality of the person's liability. It is only when you have considered all these factors that you can actually say the person is insolvent. And basically our point is that they have not considered all these factors. They considered some factors and other irrelevant factors that were named in their notice. And in due course, we believe that the court would agree with our side of the story.
Supporters of Dr. Indum were clad in red and black attire to show their anger at the action taken by the Bank of Ghana. Some of them expressed their sentiments after the court proceedings.
This job is collapsed, and they said they've collected our license from us. And, we don't have a job. We like this man. So we are pleading with the government that whatever he wants to do with us, we should provide what it means. So, yeah, we are waiting for the government to do.
But these guys are here to sympathize with Dr. Indum. Why? Because they've all seen and realized the hard working of Dr. Indum. So when they heard the news that Dr. Indum's license has been retrieved, has been declared insolvent, they said, no, we won't sit at home and listen or watch on the TV. We'll come and sympathize with Dr. Indum. That is why they are here. So they are here to sympathize with Dr. Indum. And
some top management and executives of Group Indum were also in court to sympathize with the group.
So the recent sanctions of 4 audit firms, Deloitte Ghana, PKF Chartered Accountants, Morrison and Associates, and Gmails Lamte & Co., has sparked some debate on the roles of auditors in the collapse of some banks in the country. On the business edition of PM Express, Dr. Daniel Sedo, a rep of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, ICAG, and banking consultant Nano Tue Champong, expressed divergent opinions. Here's more in Philip Namfori's report.
There are some disagreements over who should be blamed for the misconduct of the 4 auditing firms. Some people think a larger responsibility should be placed on the directors who should have ensured the firm's financials are good. However, others believe auditors still have a task of ensuring right financials are churned out. A representative of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, Dr. Daniel Sedo, shares the Institute's position on this. He is of a school of thought that directors play a major role.
The truth of the matter is the auditing firms or the auditors do not manage banks. They do not manage any company that they audit. So as an entity, you have to put your structures in place. Now, if you set up a business, one of the early things you should do is to appoint directors and appoint them very carefully. Directors that can contribute to the growth of your business. And the directors will subsequently be empowered to appoint executives. who would run your business. Now, it's the same directors that must ensure that controls are put in place. So if your controls are put in place, including internal audit, and things are functioning properly, then periodically you invite auditors to look at what you are doing and express an opinion. That is critical because the history of it is that the shareholders, not all of them sit on the board or sit in management. So there must be somebody who represents them by scrutinizing what has been done and report back to them whether all that has been done shows true and fair view. So auditors do not manage anybody's business. They go and audit, gather evidence, and express an opinion.
Banking consultant Nana Otoi Champo is slightly on the other side. He says auditors have a role as external monitors to ensure directors present a true and fair view of a company's financials.
Auditing plays a very major role because in the agency we have three costs. One is the monitoring cost by the principal, bonding cost by the agent, and then the residual cost. Now, all these three costs use the figures that auditing produces to confirm the state of affairs, because the principal who will appoint a firm of auditors to give assurance to the assertions that the management have made in the accounts will depend on the assurance given by the firm of auditors. The agent who also want to bind the principal in such a way that they don't act on their own caprices and sack them will have a contract of employment. The figures in there will come from the audited statement. And then the two parties together are also interested in any cost that to be incurred to engage auditors. So the role of auditors in the corporate governance structure is very, very crucial.
For now, the regulator of these audit firms, the ICAG, is watching as the debate rages. But one thing is clear, as both believe auditors are very relevant in ensuring good corporate governance practices. Philip Namfuri's report for Joy Business.
Now, Executive Director in charge of business at First Atlantic Bank, Daniel Marfo, says some banks have collapsed over the years as a result of uncalculated risks. He urges customers to have confidence in the central bank's reforms. Dr. Daniel Marfo was speaking at the opening of First Atlantic Bank's 37th branch at Ashaiman here in the Greater Accra region.
According to the First Atlantic Bank, the current regulatory framework from the central bank will help put existing banks on their toes. The bank says surviving a risky banking sector demands carefully thought out plans and procedures. Executive Director in charge of business at the First Atlantic Bank, Daniel Marfo, says bank must not only focus on lending money to customers, but also have mechanisms to get it back.
The banking industry is a risk industry. And therefore, you have to make sure that whatever you are doing, as you are lending to the customers, you must have mechanisms in place to be able to collect what you are giving out. When you lend and you are unable to collect, then it leads into bad debts. It affects your liquidity, it eats into your capital, and the bank will go down. And that's one thing we do well at First Atlantic Bank. I think the regulator has done what they are supposed to do now. They put in place a framework within which the bank should work. The Banking Act is very robust to make sure that once you follow the provisions of the Banking Act and then the corporate governance framework the Bank of Ghana has put in place following the banking crisis, I think once you follow these things, you should be fine.
Daniel Marfo was optimistic that First Atlantic Bank, with its tailor-made products and services, would be among the top 5 banks in the future.
You're watching Business Live. Away from the banking sector, Coca-Cola Bottling Company has assured government of its commitment to support initiatives aimed at reviving the Commander Sugar Factory in the Central Region. The factory, which has been shut down for some time, is expected to be taken over by private sector investors. Now, Coca-Cola says it is ready to source its raw materials from the company or the country when it becomes operational. Head of Public Affairs and Communication Manager Bethel Yaboa tells Joy Business the company has made some recommendations to the Ministry of Trade and Industry in this regard.
Approached us to support in trying to get the place going. Okay, so because we have been doing this business involving sugar, and we have We have the expertise when it comes to quality and all of that. So government wanted us to support bringing the Commonwealth Sugar Factory back to its feet, and we have participated in helping government do that, and we've shared our expertise, with government in that regard, and we are always ready, to support government, to come up with whatever business ventures that would help, the economy. Okay, so as of now, we have shared everything that we can and we know with government as far as our area of expertise is concerned. And I know the government has taken it and is working with it. So let's all, hope that in the nearest future, we should have the Commonwealth Sugar Factory, moving as we all expect.
And will you source your materials locally if it comes?
Exactly. I mean, that is always our policy. And currently, we are also developing certain aspects of the supply chain, in order for us to have, local supplies.
Now, the fund established to mitigate the risk associated with lending to farmers, known as the Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending, is now operational. Deputy Minister for Horticulture at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, George Odro, disclosed this at the GIPC Invest in Ghana session of the 2019 African Green Revolution Forum in Investing in Agriculture.
Investment in the mechanization to reduce the drudgery in farming and attract the youth into the agriculture. The Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing Agricultural Lending System, GESA, newly introduced by Government of Ghana as a de-risking instrument, will enhance bank lending through guarantees and insurance. For example, in Ghana, the banking sector sees agriculture or farming as a risk. So the government deems it right to establish an institution to back these banks. So now the risk for a bank lending to a farmer, the risk is being weighed off, because when a bank lends to a farmer, the bank is able to register with GESA, and the GESA will take 80% of the risk from the bank. So now it's open and it's free. The banks are willing to lend to farmers now. It's not like before. This is another initiative the government has done just to improve the farming activities and raise the livelihood of farmers. We would like to tell a potential investor that our doors are open and we are ready to do business with them.
Farmer-based organizations in cocoa production and purchase are being encouraged to work towards new sustainable agricultural standards. International Agriculture Group Rainforest Alliance is sensitizing farmers and service entities on practices for buying certification. Prince Apia was at a stakeholder forum on the new standards in Kumasi, and our reports.
Rainforest Alliance have been in Kumasi engaging stakeholders, farmers and farmer-based organizations on new sustainable agriculture standards. Adherence to the new standard protocols will enable local farmers to connect long-term with international market players. Regional head for Rainforest Alliance, Siriki Diakiti, tells Love Business the initiative is meant to ensure farmers produce to meet international benchmarks.
That's important to highlight as part of a benefit for the farmers and their organizations. Applying the new sustainable agriculture standards would be building long-term relationships with the companies, because so the market will recognize the improvements, the efforts, the commitments that the farmers and the group have been making on the ground by using and applying the different improvement criteria parts of a standard, and the market would also be able to reward those sustainable practices. I think so when a group or a farmer-based organization is certified, that will open for them opportunities to connect to the market from a long-term perspective, because the market would trust the work that is done by the group in terms of improvements, but also compliance with improvement requirements.
Other officials of the International Agriculture Group believes new and best practices on agricultural landscape is very critical to address some of the climate change challenges.
What we expect is that we will work in 4 different core intervention areas. One of the other is we work on landscape and livelihoods, and the third and the fourth is advocacy.
Here are some participants on the project.
Yeah, my expectation is very simple. We are looking at the current developments in the standards that they are coming out with, and we want to see how best these standards will help us increase our yield, our income, and ultimately to improve our standard of living.
We are expecting to get more production since they are teaching us how to plant tea, to cover shade on our cocoa. We are expecting to get more production than before.
The new standards are expected to be rolled out very soon. Prince Apia reporting.
All right, and so as we head into the weekend, let's find out how the stock market performed. Joining me on the line is Betha Tubiga of Gold Coast Fund Management. Thanks for your time tonight, Betha. So how did we fare this week?
Well, this week has been a bit okay in terms of the volumes that we see trading on the stock market, especially on Wednesday when we had over 14 million shares traded on the exchange, and that happens to have taken place in MTN traded over 4 million shares and went up by 2%.
Okay, so great. And so I'm seeing, I'm judging from what you're saying that our prediction earlier on Monday about MTN driving market activity really did happen.
Exactly. We saw the equity, despite what's been going on with MTN in some parts of Africa, we still saw the equity trade quite a significant number of shares this week on the market. And today it's also recorded the highest volume. Today being the last day of trade on the stock market, it recorded the highest volume of 6,120 shares. So today, MTN was the highest traded equity on the stock market today. And if you did not see any price change in MTN by close of today's trading session.
And so what should we be looking at as we head into another week, next week?
Well, next week we're still expecting volumes to be volatile, but expect more shares to trade on the exchange. And we are expecting some equities. If you want to buy or sell, especially if you want to buy equities, you could consider Unilever, you could look at Total or Girl. And you can also look at GTBL on the stock market. These are equities that if you want to buy, you can consider buying them next week.
Right.
Major indices, we are not expecting them to do so. The fact that we are seeing like good volumes of shares trading, the market indices are not doing so well. If you look at the composite index, for instance, it's recording a weekly loss of 2.05% and a 4-week around yesterday loss of 12.27%. And the financial stock index also 1% and a 4-week loss of 4.87% and a year-to-date loss of 9.2%. So we're seeing volumes trading, not in all equities, but some specific equities like MTN, but the market indices are still dipping further into the next.
Okay, Betha Tubiga, thanks very much. We'll leave it here. The line not too friendly there, but thanks very much for your update tonight on Business Live. And that's it for our program tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. This morning is on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. We've got the day's running stories and bulletins. Just in case you missed out on any of them, you can go to our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Thanks for watching. We are back same time next week.